guys, it is May 24th and sorry, my stomach started growling. Yesterday marked my last day doing observation hours. I was going to vlog after my first day and I just never got around to it, but I finished shadowing at an athletic performance facility, so basically like a sports medicine clinic, and I shadowed the PT that was there. There was two PTs, one physical therapist assistant, and it was very fun. I love the PTs that were there. They were very funny. Like, I don't know, it was just really nice. It was really fun to see all the athletic type of injuries. There were so many ACL injuries. My goodness, so many ACL injuries. But I got to see different types of injuries as well. It was cool to see the approach to rehabbing those injuries versus like general population. That's what I was trying to say. Some of the stuff that I got to do while I was there was helping out with workouts. So some of the athletes who are further along in their rehab, they are just basically given like strengthening workouts, and so they would show me how to take them through a specific workout. Sometimes I would observe. So if the PT that I was shadowing was evaluating a new patient, I would watch, and it was so cool to see him explain to the patients the anatomy and like what was wrong. Like, he is a master of anatomy and problem solving. I asked him, I was like, would you ever be a teacher? And he was like, no. But because he is so good at explaining the body mechanics and using problem solving and critical thinking when he's evaluating the patients to tell them what their issue is, and like deducing all the possible things that could be going on to like a centralized issue so that they can work to fix it. So excellent. I was mind blown. Like, I loved hearing him explain what was going on. But yeah, it was a quick 4 weeks. I went on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 10 hours a day. My goodness, that was an experience. It wasn't so bad once you got used to it. Like, the day went by. It didn't feel like it was dragging on because it wasn't boring. Now, granted, there were some times where you had some downtime. There wasn't that many patients, but it wasn't boring to the point where it felt like torture. But yeah, I did 20 hours a week for 4 weeks, totaling 80 hours. And now I have finished my observation journey. So I have a total of 200 hours, and the breakdown for that is I did 40 hours at a general outpatient clinic, Dreyer Physical Therapy. I did 80 hours in a hospital doing acute inpatient observation, and then I did 80 hours at a sports medicine clinic. So that's 200 hours. And I want to talk a little bit again about getting to being able to shadow in these locations. I recommend starting out at an outpatient clinic. It might be a little bit easier, and then the people at the outpatient clinic, I don't know why my voice just like cut out on me. The people at the outpatient clinic might have connections to people at a hospital that you can shadow. That's what happened to me. Plus, with outpatient clinic, it's typically easier to get your foot in the door. It might be very boring, but hey, get the boring one out of the way first. But while I was there, one of the PTAs was asking me if I had done any inpatient observations yet. I said, no, I haven't done any yet. I've been trying to contact like nursing homes and like rehab hospital, like inpatient rehab hospitals, and I haven't had any luck. And he was like, okay, I know a guy. He gave me his friend's number. I called his friend gave me his email. From there, he was putting me in contact with people at the hospital that I went to observe. So sometimes it's going to take some networking. and I know it's uncomfortable. I was blessed to have people around me who were just very kind and generous and like willing to like help me. And that's something you'll notice. People are going to be willing to help you. They want to help you, because there's no reason to gatekeep. It's not like being a physical therapist is like some baller lifestyle, living fly and like you're at the top of the food chain and you don't want anybody else to get access to it. No, it is a very humble job, and like there's no reason for them to gatekeep anything from you. So they're willing to help. So from being at the hospital, I got in contact with the right people, finally was able to start. And then after that, I was like, okay, I have outpatient and inpatient experience, but I want a third location, like a specialty. So I was like, I want to go to a sports place. While I was looking up that, I happened to come across this place that I went to do the in-body scan that also had sports physical therapists. So like sports medicine related physical therapy. And so at my appointment to get the in-body scan, I was talking to the nutritionist, or is she a dietitian? I think she's a dietitian. I was talking to the dietitian about, you know, hey, do you guys have students here that come and shadow? She was like, yeah, I'll take you over to the physical therapist so that you could talk to them. Because I had Googled them before I went, and that's how I found out this information. And I knew the doctor or the physical therapist that I wanted to shadow already. He wasn't there, but the physical therapist assistant who was there and the other physical therapist who was there, they, you know, chatted with me for a few seconds, and then the physical therapist assistant was like, here, let me give you his number so that you can text him. Got his number, texted him. He told me about the process of like onboarding, because they're technically partnered with a hospital system, a different hospital system than the one that I was with prior, but they are technically a branch of that hospital. So he gave me the contact information of another person to email, get set up, emailed that person, he got me set up. I had to go online, do onboarding for the hospital. Then I was able to finally start shadowing. So it was a very long process. So I ended my inpatient observation in February, and then I was doing some traveling. I went to go visit my grandmother. I went to Texas. I went to go visit my grandmother in March, and so I didn't do my onboarding and finish my onboarding until April. And then at the beginning of May, I started my my shadowing, and now I'm finished. When it comes to shadowing, it really is what you make it. Ask questions, because at the end of the day, they're not there to teach you. They're there to do your job, or they're there to do their job. Wow, that was hard to say. They're there to do their job, and you're there to observe and learn. So at the end of the day, they still have to do what they need to do, and you, as someone who's there to learn, ask questions. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to get a feel for the personalities. Just ask questions like, hey, what are you like, how did you come up with this program, this exercise program, or what's the goal for them at this stage in their injury? What are some precautions for them at this stage in their injury? What are the things you want them to avoid? Just think of questions you can ask them about what's happening between them and the patient. Also, ask them questions about being a physical therapist or being a physical therapist assistant. Like, what's your work-life balance? What's your work-life balance like? Or what are some other locations you've worked at? Have you always worked here? Have you worked inpatient? Have you worked home health? Like, what are some other forums that you've been at? They might tell you about that. Ask them about themselves, like, oh, how long have you been a physical therapist? What school did you go to? Da, da, da. Like, just chat with them, okay? Interact with them, because if some people will let you stand there the whole day and they won't interact with you. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. That's how it was when I was at Dreyer. Like, if you didn't really interact with them and ask them questions, they were just like, do their job. But I noticed that when you start showing an interest in what they're doing, that's when they're like open to like talking to you and teaching you. If you just stand there like you don't care, they're not going to care either. And it's not that they don't want to help you, it's that they want to see that you care and that you want to be helped. Because they've told me, I've heard them talk about, not in a bad way, but talk about different types of students that they've had. Like they've had students who would like sit in a corner and be on their phone all day, or just kind of be standoffish and not really say anything. But they love having people there who are helpful and who are genuinely immersed and involved in the experience. Even if you're not able to do much, the fact that you're asking questions and you're showing an interest goes a long way. So by the end of this experience, I have 2 recommendation letters and I have 1 on the way. So I was able to get a recommendation letter from the physical therapist that I shadowed in the inpatient setting at the hospital, and I have a recommendation letter from the physical therapist that I was shadowing at the sports medicine clinic. And I am so relieved, because that was one of my biggest issues, was figuring out how to get a reference letter. Something I recommend is that you spend at least 4 weeks shadowing somebody, and it doesn't have to be 100 hours. I did 80 hours, 20 hours a week. You can do 20 hours or 40 hours, 10 hours a week. Like, hey, I can only come for 2 hours each day, but I'm gonna be here every day for 5 days for 4 weeks. Like, you can spread out your hours if you need to. You can come 2 days a week for 4 weeks like I did. Like, I just recommend spreading out your time with these people so that they have more time with you. Like, even though you might not be spending a lot of hours with them, you're spending more weeks, more days with them, so that they have time to like get used to you, and that they have time to get to know you, observe who you are. Because when it comes time to fill out your application, they're going to be asked questions about how long they've known you and what they recommend. Like, what do you notice about their character? What do you recommend about, would you recommend them to our program? And like those type of questions, in addition to the reference letter. But especially, I think it's good to spend at least a month with them, especially because of reference letters. When I was at Dreyer, I did 40 hours in 2 weeks, and even though the physical therapist said he was willing to write a reference letter for me, how much does he really know about me? He only spent 2 weeks with me, versus the people that I spent 1 month with. Even though a 1 month is still a short amount of time, the repetition of like being face to face with them for a month gave them more time to interact with me and get to know me and learn about me. So that's just my recommendation. Also, I recommend, there are some people who have hundreds of or over 1,000 hours shadowing because they work somewhere, and that's great. That's still very impressive, and that's still something to give yourself a pat on the back for. But sometimes less is more. Or sometimes, and when I say less is more, I'm talking about hours. And the reason why I say sometimes less is more is because there's a lot more value from an admission standpoint in getting hours in multiple locations versus a bunch of hours in one location. And you can do a bunch of hours and have multiple locations. That's even better. Like, oh wow, they really took some time to get to know the physical therapy profession. So yeah, that's what I would recommend for you. If you don't want to do a lot of hours, sorry, my camera was about to like split, like turn off, because of how long that last clip was. Anyways, if you don't want to do a lot of hours, then at least do hours in multiple locations. For me, I looked at the recommendation or requirement for the schools that I was looking at, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do more than what's required of me because I just want to stand out. Because a lot of the schools that I'm looking at, they don't require hours, they don't require it, but it's good to do them anyway because they want to know that you actually know what the physical therapy profession is about, because they don't want students coming in and then dropping out because they don't like it. You know what I mean? They want to know that you're dedicated and you're actually going to stay, because one, they need to make money somehow. Okay, it's still a business. College is still a business. But two, like, if you accept admissions without having an idea of what physical therapy is about, and then you drop out, you took the spot of somebody who could have been there, who actually wanted to finish. You know what I mean? Like, somebody else could have been in your spot and they could have actually finished the degree. So now there's one less person in the program. You know what I mean? But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But oh yeah, just get quality experiences. That's where I was going with that. You can do a bunch of hours, there's nothing wrong with that, but you give yourself a little bit more of an edge if you have experience in multiple locations. And how do you get experience in multiple locations? Networking. It's not as scary as it seems, because by the end of your experience, they're typically like, if you need anything, let me know. Every place that I went, if you need anything, let me know. I'm willing to, you know, help you out. Like, I just left the sports medicine clinic yesterday and they were like, you're welcome to come back. If you need anything, let me know. Here's my email. Don't use that email. Do use this email. Like, they were letting me know, like, if you need anything, contact us. Okay? Like, use that and be like, actually, I need help getting into an inpatient place. Do you know anyone? It's that simple. Yeah. So some summaries, like if you're inpatient and you need a summary, how do I even summarize all that? That was a lot. My gosh. In summary, when you shadow, interact with them, ask questions, get to know them. You don't have to be a chatterbox. You know what I mean? Ask how you can help. Like, oh, do you need me to do X, Y, and Z? I'll do this. Or like, just involve yourself. Don't just stand there. If I'm shy, okay, I don't talk a lot. Okay, there were even some times when I was shadowing at the sports medicine clinic where I felt kind of awkward because I don't talk a lot. I'll make conversation, but I don't feel the need to fill every silence with small talk. So sometimes I was just chilling, you know what I mean? But still talk to them, get to know them, you know what I mean? You can still be a quiet person, but be nice and kind and still, you know, interact with people. So get involved. I recommend spending at least 4 weeks. You don't have to do a bunch of hours, but I recommend spread out your observation time. I know it's hard. Sometimes you're on a time crunch. You can't really spread out your hours. But if you can, spend at least 4 weeks with them, especially if you want a recommendation letter from them, just so that they have more time to get to know you and network. By the end of the experience, if you know that you still want to go to another location or you need help with something, ask. Because by the end of it, if you did the first two things, if you involved yourself and you were kind, and if you spent a decent amount of time with them, even if you didn't spend a lot of time with them, they might be willing to help you. But like, the more time they spent with you, if they like you, if you did a great job, they're going to be willing to help you. So the last one, networking, is a lot easier when you do the other two. Plus, you get more comfortable with them too. It's not as daunting to ask them for stuff when you know them. But if you come there the first day and you're trying to ask them, hey, can I get a recommendation letter? Hey, can you help me do X, Y, Z? It's gonna be like, I guess, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, those are my 3 recommendations. And that was my experience observing. So now we're moving on to preparing for applications. I will have a 3rd recommendation letter from one of my professors. I started networking with her like right after I graduated. I just asked her, hey, can you be my mentor? She was like, sure, because I had like 4 classes with her for my master's degree. So she's familiar with my work and my character, my work ethic. And it was very scary for me because, yeah, I didn't interact with her a lot outside of class because I knew, like, she was a great teacher, so I didn't really need help outside of what she told us to do in class. But I still took the time to like email her and ask her if she could be my mentor. She got her doctorate degree, and then I congratulated her on her doctorate degree, sent her a card, you know, just simple things to like build a relationship. So over the last couple years, keeping in touch with her, and I don't keep in touch with her like every single week or every month. Like every once in a while I'll check in, let her know what's happening with my life, ask her how she's doing and stuff like that. And she actually told me when I first emailed her last year, I think I emailed her in like November, and I told her I was gonna be pursuing physical therapy school. She's like, oh my gosh, she was like, that's great. If you need a physical therapy, if you need a reference letter when it's time to apply, let me know and I'll write one for you. So this past week I checked in again and I was like, hey, I'm completing my last rotation for my physical therapy application. Sorry, there's like bugs outside and I thought it was inside. Anyways, and she was like, awesome. Remind me again when it's closer to the application's opening, so that, and she asked me to send my CV or my resume and to tell her which classes I had with her so that it would be easier for her to look up like my grades and stuff. So that's something that if you are going to ask a professor for grades to prepare for, just be able to send them a CV. A CV is like an academic resume basically, and be able to tell them what classes you took with them so they can look you up. It just helps. So yeah, so later on down the line I'll be reminding her that applications are opening so that she can get her reference letter done for me. So yeah, yeah, that is an update for where I'm at in my journey. And my next update will be basically about the physical therapy application process and submitting my application. So I'll be talking about how expensive it's gonna be because it does cost to apply, getting all my information in. Oh, I'm taking the GRE next month. So yeah, there's that. I'll be updating you guys on that, like my scores and all that. And I'm actually studying this time, okay? Be proud of me, because I have other videos on my channel from when I took the GRE like almost 5 years ago, and I didn't study. But this time I'm studying, so we'll see how it goes. And they changed the GRE since the last time I took it, so it's supposed to be shorter. So we'll see how it goes. But those will be my next updates. And then of course I'll update you guys on when I actually get in, or like what school I get into. I'm not gonna say if, I'm gonna say when I get in, because I'm getting into something. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous because sometimes people apply to like 7, 8 schools, but PTCast said the average amount of schools people apply to is about 5 or 6. So I put 5 in there just to like it's gonna land somewhere. But yeah, that's it for this update officially, and I will see you guys in the next one.